Well, this is gonna be fun. Yeah, I don't know. Gage is better at that stuff than I am, but yeah, this is gonna be fun. We're gonna be reading another one of Lance's shitty books today. Um, and I've noticed that he has actually put this behind a paywall now. You have to pay £1. Sadly, I fucking bought this book beforehand, so mwah. Um, when I say bought, I mean I got it for free back when its price was free, and now that it's paywalled, the paywall doesn't work because I already have a key. So, good going, jackass. Anyway, today I thought we'd read another Lance book. We've already done this one, The Dentist That Extracted His Own Tooth. Gage, the loudmouth, has done Emo Boy, and Lance, and he's gonna, I believe, gonna be doing The Good Officer. I think he should probably do The Good Officer if he's gonna do any others, because these two are actually part of the same cinematic universe, the Lance cinematic universe, because The Good Officer appears in Emo Boy and actually is like the antagonist of that story, and it's very gripping stuff, and by gripping I mean it's fucking retarded. So anyway, I'm going to be doing this one, I think, called The Fly That Cannot Fly. And I find this one kind of interesting because it's apparently allegorical. The Fly That Cannot Fly is apparently about Lance. Why did it open 2 tabs? That's weird. And yeah, this could be interesting. This is how Lance apparently sees himself. So this is gonna get into some too deep for me shit. Let's give it a shot. The Fly That Cannot Fly. There was once a fly that could not fly around. On closer inspection under a microscope, we can see that the poor fly had no wings. Therefore, he cannot fly. Okay, first problem I have. You would not need a microscope to notice that a fly does not have fucking wings. I'm very, very fucking sure that by looking at the shitting thing, you could probably see it unless you need to go to Specsavers. Because typically the wingspan of a fly is like the length, like a good chunk of its body length. I'd say about 2/3 of the thing's body length. So yeah, if it's missing its wings, it's like a bird missing its wings. You wouldn't need a microscope to notice. The scientist, although this could be allegory for the fact that you need a microscope to see Lance's penis, I don't know. The scientist could grow him a new pair of wings. Is that a thing? And why would they? That is the biggest waste of money I've ever fucking heard. Yeah, we could regenerate a war veteran's severed arm, or we could give a small insect that does nothing but eat shit, that's only got a lifespan of about, a week? Yeah, we can give it its stupid wings back that it just doesn't have. Why would they waste the time, money and effort that would take? That is the most stupid fucking thing I've read all week. This is the second stupidest thing I've witnessed today, next to that Fear the Walking Dead episode that was aired the other day that I've only just got around to watching. The one where she fucking follows the girl around. Anyone who's seen it will know what I'm talking about. That shit, like, what the fuck. But this is a close second to the most retarded story I've been exposed to. And I'm only like 2 lines in. But it would be impossible to attach it on him. He just kept moving around and trying to fly, but he couldn't. Why not use some anesthetic? Or why not just get a fucking flat newspaper, roll it up and fucking swat the prick? So is this like allegory for the fact that Lance keeps getting medical help from psychiatrists and he just keeps ignoring what they're trying to do and won't let them fix him? I think that's actually a very telling thing. The sad reality of this fly is he can't lift because of his missing wings. No, the sad reality is that he's too fucking stupid to get help from someone who's willing to waste their time and effort to actually try and help him, much like the author. To grow a new pair of wings for a fly will take even months, probably years. No. I'm pretty sure that if a fly loses its wings... In fact, I'm going to look it up. Hold on. Because they acquire their wings during their terminal molt, insects cannot repair wings and must rely exclusively on behavioural mechanisms for damage compensation. So basically it's fucked. It's never going to get its wings back. I mean, this is just talking about damaged wings. If it lost its wings completely, it would be fucked. Also, what is a fly's lifespan, just to contextualize the quote about it taking years? I'm assuming it's a common house fly. 28 days, apparently, the kind of fly that Lance is talking about, the one that's on the cover of the book. If it was a Culex pipiens, I think I'm saying that right, it would last 7 days. But flies are not capable of living for years. Did it say 28 days? Yes, sorry, no, I'm sorry. So the Culex pipius lives shorter, pipiens live shorter, housefly lives for 28 days. It lives for just about a month. It lives for a calendar month, because a month is usually registered as 28 days, because 28 days is the minimum amount of time that a month can have. So yeah, it can't take months or probably years, because in most of that time it will be decaying, because it's dead. The fly was so sad it didn't move. It stayed still for a few days. It literally wasted, I mean, if it lives for 28 days, it's literally wasted about, 10% of its fucking lifespan just in a depressed slump. That's really sad. The fly couldn't eat because it was so sad that he couldn't lift because of his missing wings. I mean, he eats nothing but shit anyway, so he's not missing out. A few days passed, and they tried to operate on the wings to give it its wings of delicate tools to attach new wings that grew out of the petri dish. Fucking what? Lance, you can't grow organic matter like this out of a fucking petri dish unless this is like the far future. And I cannot even imagine a future this far and so this advanced where they're wasting time and effort improving the quality of life of a creature that lives for 28 days. That's fucking retarded. As soon as the surgery was a success, the fly had the weight. Take a load off Fanny. No. But it was impossible. The fly had to fly around. Oh, so it did get its wings back, but it was so fucking stupid that it did a Beavis and started picking its nose and its finger snaps off. As soon as those new wings were attached, but then suddenly the wings came loose and the poor fly came... No, that's not sad. That's fucking retarded. He lost a limb and then decided to use the limb as soon as it got reattached. This is almost as fucking stupid as Stetson pulling his newly attached tits out just after they were put on. Yeah, Stetson has tits now, by the way, and they're covered in fucking scars and shit because he's not let them heal properly, because he ripped his medical bra off before it was ready. I'm pretty sure he did it as soon as he got home, which you're not supposed to. I was talking to my friend about this, who's actually trans, and she was explaining that basically those medical bras, you don't take them off for extended periods of time. Maybe if you're showering or something, I don't know. I don't know what the rules are entirely, but I do know that taking them off is a big no-no. You're not supposed to be flashing around until you're ready to lose that medical bra, and he's basically been flaunting his tits around for ever since he's got them, so I think they're going to go all saggy and weird very quickly. And this lance fly is actually also a great allegory of Stetson because of that. The poor fly came flying down in a crazy spiral. He could not control it, and he had a hard landing. Hey, that's like an allegory of Lance's entire life right there. The fly could not fly again with his new wings detached during flight, so it's useless at this point. A fly that cannot fly anymore can only wander around on the ground. What, he's just plodding around like, I wonder, Chapter 2. I'm sorry to disappoint you on this book. A flightless fly that I cannot fly? That I can't not fly? Ow. Okay, right. What was I thinking? Lance, that is not the first time I've asked that question about anything you've done, believe me. I'm pretty much running out of ideas to come up with about the story. Why did you publish it on Google Play then? Why did you fucking put this on a storefront if you have a concept that you've run out of fucking ideas for on page 2. That's actually fucking retarded. Why have you taken up the store space for something that you half-arsedly thought up? This is why places like this and Amazon are looked down on. That self-publishers who could have actually... Self-publishing, a lot like Steam Greenlight, could have been a really good thing where amateur authors who want to take their first step into the professional author world but nobody would give them the chance, could have their works published. They could have really good ideas that nobody's willing to give a chance, and they could self-publish and show the world what they're capable of. And then people like Lance come along and fill it with this shit. So, if I wrote a Lord of the Rings style thing now that was on that level of epic, with that much thought put into it, and put it on Amazon self-publish, it would get buried in shit like this in a matter of hours, because some fucking moron on the other side of the planet doesn't have a job, doesn't have a life, and my 3-year-long epic gets fucking buried under volumes and volumes of this dumb shit. And I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be able to publish this stuff, but it should not be on a fucking professional storefront. There should be some fucking standard. There really should. And any book with a line like that in it that isn't a fucking tongue-in-cheek comedy like a Deadpool or a Marx Brothers or a Spike Lee kind of thing should be shit-canned immediately. In fact, anything with this book's problems should be shit-canned. But this is meant to be a reading, I apologise. I just hate this. I hate this. This is why I refuse to call myself a writer. This is exactly the sort of shit I'm talking about. Lance goes on, he's like, I'm a writer. I'm a very accomplished writer. And this is what he fucking does. And then he has the fucking clipping nerve to label himself writer. And this is what I think of when I think of the word writer. Not Oscar Wilde or Edgar Allan Poe or fucking Lovecraft. I think of shit like this. Because this is what it means now. I'm pretty much running out of ideas to come up with about the story. Hopefully you learned something about a fly that cannot fly. Yeah, I learned that it's absolute fucking dog shit. And if I could give it less than 1 star, I would. Understandably enough to know this was a sad story about a fly that failed to fly around because of it being born without its wings. Thank you for the plot synopsis, 4 pages in. Chapter 3. The fly is useless because it cannot fly. That's not the only reason it's useless because it is mentally fucking deficient. Like, even without the fucking wing problem, it could have actually been clever. Maybe that could have been the moral of the book. I mean, it could still be. I mean, there's another, like, fucking 14 pages left, but I don't think it will be. All it can do is walk around and look for trash on the ground to eat. I mean, there's plenty of trash on the ground, like, loads of it. Like, that's where all the trash is. The surgery to have new wings attached did not work. It failed, so the fly is permanently flightless forever, never to fly again. But can they not do the surgery again? Or will he just not do it? I don't blame him for not wanting to do it again, because the fly's retarded, but... I mean, there are some procedures, like cataracts correction, which apparently, like, I don't know if it's changed, but my grandmother was blind at one point and they fixed it, but it would only work for about 20 years. But she was like, I think she was about 60 when she had it done, and by the time she died, it was only just starting to wear off, so it wasn't that big of a problem in the end, but... I don't think Lance knows anything about that because he's a fucking idiot. So the fly wishes to fly again, but it will never happen. Therefore, he's a permanent walking on the ground, wishing to fly around because he was born without his wings. You've told me this 15 fucking times, and I still don't care. Technically, a flightless fly who can't fly around, if you ask me. The fly dreams... What? He's permanently walking on the ground to fly around because he was born without his wings. Technically, a flightless fly who can't fly around, if you ask me. The fly dreams it can fly, but it can't. What? What does any of that fucking mean? That sounds like 3 fucking sentences that were human centipeded together. And I feel like I'm just watching shit flow through the mouth of all 3 of them and come out the anus of the other. But you know what, you could have made a fucking funny, clever joke there, which I think is what you were trying to do. And by fucking funny, clever joke, I mean obvious and pathetic, where you were like, a fly that can't fly, it shouldn't even be called a fly. But no, you couldn't even think of that, because you're not even mentally 5 yet. I guess you could say the fly is grounded because he can't fly, am I right? This man's 30, by the way. 30. You know, I'm currently writing a novel. It's the sequel to my last fantasy novel. And I'm about 30 odd pages in, which is already longer than this. And so far, more has happened in it, and I'm only like 3 chapters into the story. Actually, I don't think I'm 30. Like, I can't remember the ordering of the pages or whatever, but from what I remember, yeah, I'm more pages into the story than this book is in length. And more has happened, I've achieved more chapters, and I have more than 1 chapter per page as well. I think I have a minimum of 3, maximum of like 6 pages per chapter. I'll go beyond or beneath if it's necessary, but I usually try not to waste people's time with frivolous chapters. Like, if a chapter can be short for the, length. But you see, my actual plot, the reason why it took me about 5 years to actually start writing it seriously is because I actually came up with the plot 2 years ago and then fully refined it to actually start working on it now. Lance does all of this shit, from it being an idea in his head to being published on a storefront in an afternoon. And this is why I genuinely get pissed off. My first story was based on book stories that I wrote years ago that I put together to make one story, and that was 3 years after. And when I started compiling that story together, it took me about 3 months. I even wrote a book that's more in line with what this would be, which is like a joke book for the kids that I work with, and it was like it was meant to be a parody of shitty 90s cartoons like Doug, but the main character's a fucking idiot, and like he just does dumb shit, and like the main character in that is actually a lot like Lance. He's a fucking idiot who doesn't quite understand what his problem is or why everyone has a problem with him, and he doesn't care about anybody or anything but himself, and he's a complete jackass but expects the entire universe to love him. And that's... Anyway, sorry, I keep getting distracted because this book's so nothing. I'm really sorry. I know everyone's here to hear the epic story of Lance's fly garbage, but I just find talking about writing in general to be more interesting for once. You know what? How much do you want to bet that Lance is going to do some pretentious bullshit, like writing some crap about deconstructing what it means to be a writer? You know, like all those fucking idiots who have no ideas, so they just write shit like that. I guarantee he'll do something like that. Maybe not something quite that pretentious, because he's not smart enough, but something like that. So the fly wishes to fly again, but it will never happen. Therefore, he has a permanent walking on the ground, a flightless fly. All jokes aside, this is a serious problem for this fly. The fly can still rub its legs to clean itself, like that guy from Persona. His name escapes me. Kanashiro, was it? He has a very similar name to another character, which really does my end. Sometimes the fly runs around a little bit to get some exercise, but it can't fly to having no wings. Does it have no wings? Ah, fuck, man, you should have told me. I had no idea that it had no wings. I'm just suddenly realising. Chapter 4. The fly is sad. No! You think you would have fucking said. The fly which is the fly around... I hate you, Lance. The fly which is the fly around, but he can't. Remember that he has no wings because he was born without his wings. You know, you only need to remind me of that if there was actual content between this and the other 6 pages. But all you've done is say this over and over again, every page for 6 fucking pages. I want a refund, and I didn't even pay for this shit. The fly found himself out in the middle of nowhere where there was no insects in sight, not even a spider. Well, that's a good thing, because spiders murder flies. The fly was lonely, and he wished there was somebody to help him. Somebody to keep him company, sorry. But without his wings, he cannot fly around to find company. Pretty sure there's company on the ground. I mean, there's a lot of flightless insects, like a lot. Chapter 5. No wings, oh my god. Get over it. The fly was loose. I know people who have no fucking arms or legs who don't whine about it as much as this fucking fly. I mean, for all intent and purpose, it can function. It just can't do, like, one aspect of its biology that it should be able to do. The fly was losing reality. He cannot fly at all. What is this fucking multiverse of madness now? Did it fall into a trippy nightmare sequence and it can't get out? He didn't have wings, didn't he? Holy shit. The fly couldn't take it anymore. The fly wanted to escape, but without his wings, he couldn't do anything. Days pass until 24 hours is up when he went to fly heaven and he earned his wings. Until his 24 hours is up. So, Lance didn't even look up, which took me about 20 seconds to find whether or not how long a fly lives. Flies do not live 24 hours, Lance. They live 28 days. I found this out by looking it up. But the thing is, why would they do fucking surgery on a creature that lives for 24 hours? That's fucking stupid. Also, didn't you say it would take years for its wings to grow back? So what the fuck are you talking about, you stupid moron? Everything about this book is so stupid, it's actually aggravating. Right, what's the next bit? Chapter 6, The New Fly. The real boy. Hubert Camberdale. The real boy. A new fly was born with its wings. The old fly that did not have any wings, so the new fly did some research on the old fly without the wings and learned that the old fly could not fly. No! Dude, is this like Fly Einstein or something? Also learned that the fly could not fly, died and went to heaven. How long did it take him to work that shit out? This new fly made a memorial for the old fly that could not fly and then dropped dead because it took him his entire day on Earth to make the stupid memorial. Chapter 7. I never thought I'd write a book that could not about a fly that could not fly and then try to publish it for everyone to read. I imagine that's Lance sniffing his own farts after writing that sentence. I really thought this would be a good story, but I'm running out of ideas on this book. Not gonna say it. Adding a twist in the story that the fly went to heaven, and that's not a twist. Death is inevitable. Characters dying is only a twist if they die at a point where you're not fucking expecting it. If you write a story about a 100-year-old man and the twist is he dies of old age, that is not a fucking twist. A 12-year-old child suddenly dying of a heart attack is a form of twist, because you wouldn't expect it. A story about, I don't know, a dad and his daughter, and he's working up to pass on the next generation to his daughter, and the daughter dies in the story so that the dad has to live without her and carry on his legacy and hers. That's a twist. A creature with a lifespan of 24 hours dying is not a twist. And gains it. The twist of this story is that Lance is even more fucking stupid than I thought he was. That's the twist. And it gained its wings. Seems like some kind of educational thing, if you ask me. What the fuck is educational about this? Every single thing you've said about flies, without exception, is complete and utter fucking bullshit. Everything written in this fucking wording is broken. There are sentences I couldn't even figure out what you were trying to say. And you're saying, oh, this is an educational book. It's about as educational as fucking smoking pot and getting whacked in the head with a mallet. If you learn something from this book, I learned that God doesn't exist and that Jesus died in vain. Fly without its wings seems like an interesting topic. Stop sucking your own dick in a children's book, you horrible little man. To try and cover, but then I said that the fly died in 24 hours. Oh my god, did you? Did you, Lance? Did you say that? I must have missed it, I apologise. So there's really no point to this book. Well, at least you've said one fact. One fact in this entire fucking book. Well done. I just wanted to have fun writing this. Then write on a fucking fan fiction or fucking whatever website, that pad site thing that you wrote on, that you shut down because people were giving you shit. Write on that, where people are not having to compete with you for store space on a fucking storefront. I want to get something that people enjoy. Lance, if you want to write something that people enjoy, spend more than an afternoon on it. If you want to make a concept that people will find interesting, fucking have a thought. Don't fucking sit there for 5 minutes be like, I wonder what would happen if I wrote a book about a fly that doesn't fly. That's really clever. I used to work with kids, right, who were mentally behind a few years because of where they're at, like, you know, because of their autism and shit. They wrote books like this. You're fucking 30. There's no excuse. If you write like this, you shouldn't be publishing. End of fucking story. I wouldn't even be this mad if you weren't such a shit person as well, to be honest. Chapter 8. The new fly can fly around unlike the old one that died 24 hours ago. Wait, shouldn't this one be dead now because it died 24 hours ago and this new fly came along, so this fly must be over 24 hours old, so why the hell is it not dead? Every now and then, the new fly checks up on the memorial to see if vandals wrecked it, but there is no damage. The next day, the new fly... Is this him and his accounts? Is the new fly his new account? Looks for old flies, family to meet up with them. Why? Why is he more or less assuming the role of this dead person? That's really fucking weird. That's like me turning up at a random family's house and be like, hey, I know your granddad died and I'm here to basically replace him. Like, why? That's fucking weird. Nobody does this. Not even psychopaths do this, although you are one, so maybe you're the first. But as it turns out, the new fly finds out that the old fly's family died. Oh, it's almost like they only lived for like 24 hours, like you said, a long time ago. You mean yesterday. So the new fly could not get any information about the flightless fly. The new fly wanted to know more about the flightless fly, but no other fly would. But why does he care? I mean, there's an old man on my street, right, who died, and he gave me a bucket full of frog spawn. I know nothing about this old man, and I didn't dig into his private affairs trying to find out more about him after he died, because that would have been fucking weird. Does frogs still... The generations of frogs after still come back to my garden to nest, but they've got nowhere to nest, so they just fuck off and go somewhere else. But every year we always have frogs in our garden for like a week, and they turn up. Even like 20 years later, they still turn up, and they're like, we've come back to our promised land. This is our Jerusalem. Where's the paddling pool? And they realise that the paddling pool no longer fucking exists, because it was thrown in a skip about 15 years ago. So they're just like, ah shit, ribbit, and then they just run off and try to find a pond next door or something to squat in. And they do it every year without fail. There's always frogs that just turn up in the garden that come back to nest. It's pretty funny. Like, I don't know how or why. The new fly wanted to know more about the flightless fly, but no other fly would buzz around the news about the flightless fly. Probably because the flightless fly achieved absolutely fucking nothing in its life except wasting a surgeon's time. The new fly tried to look deeper in his research, but couldn't find much of anything about the flightless fly. Well, if this is allegory, you'd basically fucking tape over the fly's mouth and then insist that the past is in the past and he's not allowed to look into it or have an opinion on it because it makes you personally sad. You probably murdered the new fly just to keep his story from getting out. The new fly was curious. There, confirmed. The new fly is me. I'm kidding, of course, but you know. And wanted to know more about the old flightless fly. Oh, really? Oh, I'm glad you established that, because I had no idea that had passed, but he suddenly couldn't pull up any information. The new fly was disappointed, not understanding enough information about the fly that had no wings. The new fly went crazy. So what happened is that the new fly had to see a therapist and get therapy. Fucking what? They have fly therapy now? Are the therapists human? Like, if this was like BoJack Horseman or something of that nature where it actually makes some sense as to why animals are the way they are and how they work, I could at least fucking buy it. But from what I understand, these are regular houseflies that for some reason have access to medical human services. Unless it's other flies providing these services. But then I don't know how a fucking fly therapist or fly doctor exists when it takes fucking decades to become a doctor or a skilled top surgeon, and like they have 24 hours to achieve it. If they do manage to achieve it in 24 hours, that fucking flightless bellend decided to fucking waste his one achievement by immediately fucking it up, so well done. The new fly explained everything to the therapist to bounce off the idea of the old fly with no wings. He taught more, so the new fly starting to understand that sometimes flies die. Sometimes flies die, guys, just in case you didn't know that. Other times they live a little longer, but there was no hope for the new fly to learn more about the old fly. The new fly kept talking to the fly therapist for a full recovery. Why does he need to see a therapist? I don't fucking... like, why is he gone crazy? There have been several topics, like Lance being one, and several other things that I've actually dug into, but I didn't go fucking crazy. You'd only go fucking crazy if none of the answers made any sense. But typically I tend to look into things as a leisurely thing. I just kind of enjoy doing it sometimes if I find a trail that I can follow. I actually found so much old, unwashed villager stuff back in the day, and I used to share it with them. Like the veterans. It was a fun thing to do when I was 17. I don't get any of this, it's fucking bullshit. Chapter 10. The new fly was getting agitated, not knowing about the fly. I could not fly. Okay. Seeing a fly therapist was not enough. The new fly tried to sleep, but had nightmares about the old fly that cannot fly and woke up in a cold sweat. Okay, 1, I don't think flies sweat. 2, why is it having nightmares about someone it never fucking met? The new fly started to have anger problems and stole another fly's food. The fly cops. Why is that not the story? Why is the fly cops not the story? That would actually be fun. I'd like a story about fly cops. I would legitimately like a story about a bunch of flies that are cops. I don't know what the fuck you'd write about, but I'd like to see what madness could come out of it. They took the new fly into custody for stealing the other fly's food, and the new fly said, "I'm an innocent man, I don't care what I do to other people, I'm disabled, I was just seeing what reaction I'd get," and then he basically tried to make out that another fly was a pedophile, so they'd arrest him instead. But it didn't work, and he ended up just getting fucking beaten to death in his jail cell at the end. No, the new fly waits trial. Oh, I hope he gets the electric chair. The next day, the new fly was in court, but he was dead because he has a lifespan of 24 hours. And he was so angry, he was about to explode in anger. Why did he only have to wait a day to go? Oh yeah, because he has a lifespan of 24 hours, and they just fucking can't believe that this fly that has a lifespan of 24 hours is fucking 5 days old. The judge fly, again, this needs to be the story. Ask him a few questions. That's okay. The new fly responded in so much anger, saying that he's sorry about stealing the food, but the judge fly was not having it. Good. Give him the fucking death penalty. He sentenced a new fly to 25 years in fly prison. Again, this should be the story. So he got 25 to life for stealing food. What? Lance has no idea. And 5 months of fly anger management. Okay, what is the point? 25 years is most likely for a fly an overkill sentence, like when serial rapist child murderers get 1,000 years in prison. It's deliberate to design it so that they can't ever get out through any fucking bullshit thing of losing time on their sentence. 25 years in fly prison would mean that he'd probably not make the first year of it, because he'll die within 28 days if we're factual, and in about a week if it's Lance World. In fact, he should already be dead. What's the point in anger management if they're just basically sending him to sit in a room until he dies? I don't fucking... While in fly prison, the new fly didn't do much. When lunch come, The new fly was given dry bread and water. It was good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for you. The new fly didn't like it. Oh, 5 years passed. Fucking what? You just established that flies live for 24 hours in your world, and now they live for over 5 years, apparently. There is not a fly on the planet that lives any longer than fucking a year, I don't think. What's the longest living insect? I legitimately want to know. I bet it's not even 5 years. Insect. Insect with longest lifespan. The queen of termites is known to live for 50 years, apparently. Okay, let's try fly with the longest lifespan. 40 to 50 days, apparently, fruit fly. 30 to 60 days for a horse fly. House fly is about 28 to 30 days. Deer fly technically live the longest of any of them, but most of that time is spent as a larva or a pup. I think, or pupa. Yeah, they basically spend about 3 years growing into flies and apparently then live for 30 to 60 days as an adult fly. So, yeah, no fly on this fucking planet lives for 5 years as far as I can tell. So you're full of shit. Also, he spent 5 years of his life eating dry bread and water. What is the point in this story? The new fly got depressed. He's not even new anymore. He's 5 years old. And start looking for a way to end it all. Good, he should have done that at the start and saved us about 13 pages. But there was nothing. Probably because it's prison and he's not supposed to. Why didn't he testify against the Clintons? I hear that's a good way to get out of prison. The fly with no wings stayed on his mind. He couldn't stop thinking about it. The new fly, I like how it's a new sentence, but he's not capitalized. The new fly was so sad. 20 years later, the new fly was released. I thought he had like 20 years after the 5 years, got it. Now he had to go to anger management. Why didn't he do his anger management whilst in prison? Don't you normally get like counselling in prison and stuff? Like you have like a counsellor like in school a bit? And I'm pretty sure that you'd have a specified like psychologist to help you through your anger. Because if he's left to stew on his anger for 25 years, by the time they actually address it, he will be fucked. There's no way you'll be able to fix him. The whole point of that would be, I mean, normally if he had anger issues like that, I'm assuming what they do is focus more on rehabilitation than sentencing, because it could be said that he's not malicious and he's just more angry. Anyway, now he had to go to anger management to solve his anger problem because he lashed out at the judge. It was a new beginning for the new fly. He's not a new fly, he must be at least 25 years old. If he could live longer, but in real life, flies live 24 hours, so in this book it's kind of silly of made-up story that is non-fiction. It's a made-up story that's non-fiction. Lance, if I'm going to buy a physical copy of this book, I'm going to fucking drive down to Palmdale, California, I'm going to look up your house, and I'm going to fucking beat you to death with it. I'd love the fucking mugshot of me just holding the book with just blood cakes in the corner and bits of hair from where I just fucking gave your skull. I wouldn't actually do anything like that, but it's just so fucking funny. That would be one fucking funny mugshot. I know that it wouldn't let me hold the murder weapon in the mugshot. I don't need someone to fucking point that out. I wanted to see if somebody would get a laugh out of this. I mean, I just did, imagining you getting beaten to death with the book. Does that count? What was I thinking again? You don't think, that's what, to fly with no wings. The new Fly, the Fly Cops, the most ridiculous part of all of the Fly Judge. That's not the most ridiculous part of all. The most ridiculous part of all is that you went on a fucking pedophile website. There's no such thing. This is just a non-fiction story. You don't know the difference between fiction and non-fiction, you stupid pillock. Non-fiction is fact. Fiction is fake, a story. Goldilocks and the Three Bears is fiction. A theory of everything is non-fiction because it's based on fucking Stephen Hawking's life. Maybe it's embellished, I don't know, I've not seen it or read it, but you know what I mean. Curious Incident of a Dog in Nighttime, fiction. Gacy Files fucking books, they're probably out there somewhere. Yeah, those are non-fiction. All your books, including the ones about your life, fiction. Peter Kay's autobiography, non-fiction. You see what I'm... They teach you this when you're 8 years old. And you know what's funny? Fly Cops and Fly Judges and a Fly Prison will be a much more entertaining story than this. Like, it actually would. There is no such thing as a non-fiction story they wrote to entertain you. Well, thanks for revealing that. Is that like the epic twist? Aren't you entertained? No. This is the opposite of entertaining. This is just fucking aggravating. Am I breaking the fourth wall right now talking to the reader through this book? You're acting like this is clever shit. This is what fucking retards do when they can't write, have no talent, and instead of just like admitting it and just not publishing, they instead publish garbage and then go, oh, it's self-aware, it's stupid, I'm breaking through the fourth wall, I wasted your fucking time, but you can't get mad because it was a joke. Fuck off. Yes, I know I came up with the idea in Apple Notes. Okay. The next few ideas I have are the dentist who extracted his own tooth, I read that one, and the coffee shop, emo boy. Are those different stories? Because there's no, it's a donut shop in emo boy. Okay. Those are a few of the stories I have to write in the next few books. You don't have to write. You don't have to write these stories. You don't have to write anything. You should write because you want to create something that you don't feel exists in the world, to fill a hole that you feel is there. You should write so that people can have their day made a little better by what you make. Like when I create content, the ideal reader for me isn't someone who's going to give me an award. It's not someone who's going to praise me. It's not someone who's going to think of me as a great fucking person or whatever. That bullshit. I don't fucking care. I think of myself at like 14, watching stop motion Gary's Mod videos, thinking they were the best fucking things on the planet, and getting through really hard shit like my grandparents dying because they just took me away from it for a bit. I think of really good stories that actually taught me lessons and helped me improve as a person. Morals that I think back on and think, yeah, you know what, I that's why I think that way, because of that story and the way that those characters learn. Kind of like Greek myths. You know, I think of the way that people learn to accept themselves and learn to like themselves is through characters who exhibit traits that they have in a way that's inspiring. You know, at one point being awkward used to be a very bad thing, and then now loads of awkward characters like Sheldon Cooper, and I don't even like that show. I don't like Big Bang Theory, and I'm not that big of a fan of Sheldon and all that. But even I recognise that he probably does make a lot of autistic people feel better about themselves, because they see him and he's clever and he's actually funny in his deadpanness and whatnot, and they're like, oh, you know, I'm a bit like that, and it's not all bad because people actually like that character, and maybe they'll like me. I don't know. And you know, you can also understand people as well a little better. I watched The Wire like 10 years ago, and I really like that show because it shows you a bit of society that I otherwise wouldn't think about, like black gangsters and the hood and the ghetto and all that shit, and the cops that deal with them. And that series is brilliant because it focuses around a bunch of people and humanizes them. A bunch of people who we just see on the news and go, what pieces of shit. The Wire actually does a really good job of humanizing these characters to the point where we actually understand what they are and what they're going through. And you actually see the nightmare that they live in and how nobody cares. And that's the power of a author who gives a shit. And then you get shit like this. Just drowning all that out so that you can just, I don't know, feel good about yourself because you published a book. If this was bad, but it had a lot of heart in it, I would be like, you know what? You tried. You wanted to entertain someone, you wanted to do something good, you wanted to do something for someone who's not you. But this is all about you, like everything else you do. The rapping is all about you, the podcasts are all about you. Every creative endeavour you ever do is all about you. And that's why they're all shit. Because nobody cares about the author. Nobody. It's not... I mean, add your own personal twist, sure, but you don't have a personal twist because you have no personality. And it actually does my head in that you think that this isn't fucking bullshit. If you enjoyed this one, nobody did. It was funny. Please give it some feedback because I was trying to make you laugh. You failed miserably. You actually put me in a place where I'm actually talking sense and actually fucking making a logical argument instead of just laughing my ass off at its stupidity because I've actually just got annoyed. So well done. If you did not laugh, that's okay. I need some materialistic idea on how to write a book like this. Here's one idea, don't. Don't write shit like this. Just don't. It's an insulting thing to the written word. Stetson cries about people talking about his books being shit, being an insult to the written word. Chapters like this are the biggest middle finger to writers who have come before you, who exist and struggle or even thrive now, and people who will come after you. You fucking bring them all down by making shit like this. Chapter 13, I don't have any ideas for the book. You never had ideas for the book. I took my time trying to come up with... You didn't fucking take your time on any aspects of this shit. Fuck off. You lying sack of shit. With something to keep you entertained about a fly that had no wings, where you failed. Then the new fly, I tried to research up. A fly had no wings, which... Are you trying to imply that you did any background research into the intricacies of a fly? Because again, you fucking failed. I did a quick Google on my phone and found out that flies don't live as long as you fucking said they do. You based that off on a whole wives' tale, a fucking common myth. Fly that had no wings, which sounding kind of stupid if you ask me. I mean, I'm sure it's happened. Kids probably rip wings off flies all the time. I wrote this entire book, all 15 pages of it. How many words are there? Like 12? In its entirety, and I don't know what else to do. Neck all the funny tasting lemonade under the sink. I'm all out of ideas at this point, at this part of the book. I'm rambling on about it. Oh, I hadn't fucking noticed. I should just stop and think about it first before I put more material about this book. You should just stop and think before you do anything. Anyways, back on track with the story. This story was never on track. Oh, there's more of this shit. You know what? I am actually thankful because I miss Duke Nukem Forever now. I've been playing that shit for my next video, right? And it's one of the shittest fucking written stories I've ever played in a video game. And it's better than this. So thanks, Lance. You actually made me appreciate Duke Nukem Forever. The new fly decided to go for the fly bar and get drunk. Did he order the poo-poo platter? The new fly kept drinking until he passed out. What, so he had a sip? Somebody dragged them out of the fly bar from the side of the building. So this guy's wasted his life stalking a dead person and then going fucking crazy because he wasn't able to find out literally everything about this dead person, and now he's basically ruining his own life, turning to drink and drugs, and fucking wasted half his life in prison. Because, I don't know. Like, he's a fucking idiot. Okay. He could not remember anything. I wish I couldn't remember anything. He asked himself, where am I? He looked, apparently you're in a place where sentence structure doesn't fucking matter. He looked around the place, looked dark fields as if he'd been dragged out into a dark alley. Oh my god, I hope an organ harvesting cult found him. He jumped up and tried to fly, but he couldn't because he was so intoxicated. Oh, I hope he gets arrested for drinking whilst flying. That'd be funny. He reminded himself about the old fly that died, because it's the only thing he fucking thinks about. And he had no wings, so he decided to walk home. But this thing is, when he gets home, his home was in a tree. He sat down behind a tree waiting for it to wear off so he can jump up and fly into his house. Okay. The fly I cannot fly, there's no more, but the new fly had time to learn and passed angry management. I wish I passed angry management, but this fucking made me fail it. I fucking murdered my therapist because of this book. The new fly was also prescribed a medication for his anger to calm him down. Did it also make him impotent? So he couldn't rape people anymore. I mean, so he couldn't be a fucking weirdy beardy. I mean, so he wasn't angry anymore. He was also intent about learning about the old fly, but at this point he just gave up. There was no reason to learn about the old fly anymore. There was never any reason to learn about the old fly. He was not driven to know why the old fly could not fly anymore. He couldn't fly because he was physically deformed. So they gave up on it and lived a life on his own until he died on his 24 hours. So he lives for 24 hours, but he went to prison for 25 years. Or was that non-canon? I don't know. This story's a mess and it's dog shit. Many flies come to the grave to visit those flies who have passed. They looked down on the tombstone. One of them said about the fly that cannot fly, and the other said about the new fly that tried to learn about the old fly that could not fly. So two flies died 24 hours apart, and other flies don't understand the reason why one could not fly and the other did research on the one that could not fly. Both of them rest peaceful way to this very day. The memorial of the old fly still stands till this day. No fly will forget this day. Okay. Munich, Germany. Right. This is the worst thing that Germany has ever done. Right. Okay, why does it just say fucking nature? Also, I'm pretty sure, right, a lot of these covers that Lance does, pretty sure that he doesn't have the rights to use these images. I mean, like, in like a video or something, it's different because it's like fair use, but in this case, no, you cannot argue fair use. You'd have to get a royalty-free image. I think whoever owns this image is able to fucking sue his ass for that. I hope they do, that'd be really funny. Why did you go bankrupt? Oh, because I published a book about a fly, and it had a fly in it. Right, let's write a review, shall we? Waste of time book that the author even admits to wasting everyone's time with. I meant to write a bit more than that, but I forgot that that's how that worked. Oopsie doodle. Wait, has this little bitch blocked me? Is that why my fucking things don't come up anymore? Oh, you fuck. You absolute fuck. There. Okay.
My name is Professor Curious, and I'll be doing a video on you.